It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Come back here, tune into your Feel Good Breakfast Show Express right here on SABC 3. Yes, we are talking some health, particularly when it comes to food and understanding labels as well. Now, food labels, it can be terribly confusing for most of us, but do we really understand or know the simple things like fat-free, low-fat, or even full-fat? Now, this morning, Megan Pence-Clates joins us this morning to explain exactly the kind of products that get, or what kind of products get these designations on their food labels. So, Megan, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Hi.
I'm glad we're unpacking this so we can finally understand what we are reading.
Talking about unpacking, for us ordinary folk, all right, us everyday people, what does it mean for us when we see labels that says full fat, medium fat, low fat, fat-free?
Okay, so just let's start. I mean, the best thing that everyone can do is just pull closer a label right now.
Yes.
And when you look at the label, the first thing you'll look at is find the nutritional table. On the nutritional table, great one. Have a look, there's a 100-gram column. You see that?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look down the 100-gram column, we're going to be looking at fat. So you'll see the first one says to you total fat.
Yeah.
And then of which saturated fat.
Yes.
And then it goes on to look at the unsaturated fats
Trans
like poly.
fat, monounsaturated. Yes.
Polyunsaturated, okay.
So now we know that if we add up all those different fats, we'll get to our total fat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when it comes to total fat, we want to have good fats. So we want to have more polyunsaturated and more monounsaturated.
Okay.
So your total fat, if we're looking at your low fat, we're looking for anything less than 3 grams per 100 grams. And that's nice to look at because then you can start comparing products.
Okay.
The other thing that's really important to look at is, of course, the good fats. So the ones we want to reduce is our saturated fat. Try for less than 1.5 grams per 100 grams. That's your go-to.
All right.
And then the trans fats, they are also detrimental to health, particularly our man-made or industrially produced fats, trans fats. So those must be less than 1 gram or preferably not.
Okay, well, there we have it. Well, that's actually a great unpacking of what it all means, because sometimes you look at the label, you can see it, but it's great to understand exactly what it is that you'd be looking for.
Exactly.
So what would make then a product medium fat or kind of low fat? I mean, how do we kind of classify between that, and how do you look for that?
Right. So once again, go back to your 100-gram column, have a look at your fats, and have a look at your total fat.
Yeah.
And if it's between 3 and 20 grams, it's a medium fat.
Okay,
Now,
the total fats.
That's
Okay.
right. And now, rule of thumb, you want the majority of that fat to come from your good fats, your polyunsaturated fats and your monounsaturated.
Yeah.
So try to make sure that less than 5 grams of that comes from your saturated fats.
Righto.
Okay.
I know that this might seem like a silly question, but what exactly makes something fat-free?
Yes, no, not at all. In actual fact, with our fat-free, we're looking at more or less 0.5 grams of total fat. That's our fat-free per 100 grams, exactly. And just remember as well, when we look at all these different ones, when we go and look at dairy products, dairy products actually have a different classification, so we just need to keep that in mind. And looking at something like your dairy, you're going to actually then look at your classification being something like 1.5 grams to 3.3 actually being more your low fat, and more than 3.3 being your full fat. But coming back to your fat-free, one thing people have to keep in mind is that very often if they remove fat from a product, they might actually very well add in more salt and more sugar for flavor. So have a look at that on the label, don't miss it. But what's nice to know is that the Heart Mark has looked at all those different elements. So if you're a bit dubious, have a look if the product has the Heart Mark on, or go and look at their website, the Heart and Stroke Foundation, because there you will see products where they've taken into consideration not only fat-free, but also the content of the sugar, as well as looking at the content of the salt in the product.
Yeah.
Sure. Megan, thank you very much. I think now, if you're going to go to the shops, I'm going to spend like maybe 2 more hours just going through the aisle, reading every single label, just making sure. But it is so important to understand what it is that you are reading. And I like the fact that you also said about, you know, if they take away the fats, they might add a couple of kind of things as well, which you also need to take care of. Megan, thank you very much.
Thank you
Really
very much.
appreciate it.
Lovely. Thank you.